Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Picard Cast. This evening, I'm your host, Rebecca, and every week I am joined by my lovely co-host, Brooke. Welcome back, Brooke, to the Bridge of the Enterprise.
Oh, thank you. It's kind of lonely here on the Enterprise. I don't know where everybody went. It looks like it's just three of us.
It's just us. Yeah, it's just us. And then we have a special guest, of course, but Captain Picard's not here, or Admiral Picard. He's still at Chateau Picard.
Retired Admiral.
Retired Admiral at Chateau Picard. But yeah, we're here to discuss Season 1, Episode 2 of Picard, Maps and Legends. But we have some help this week, our special guest. Joining us again after his appearance on our episode where we reviewed Nemesis. Welcome back, Steven, to the podcast. How are you, Steven?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you welcoming back after that episode.
Oh, our pleasure. Nice to have you back again.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As we said, we are going to be talking about episode 2, but, definitely just sort of, we're going to get into all of it, of course, but what did you think of the premiere? You don't have to, give us deep thoughts, but overall, did you like the first episode?
I mean, I'm automatically going to like anything Star Trek, right off the bat. I mean, I know that's not really a deep dive or what you're really looking for, but I mean, right off the bat, if it's Star Trek, the theme music starts playing, I see Jean-Luc, no matter what it is, I'm going to like it.
Sure.
I thought, now this is just from the first episode.
Yeah.
I thought that they were just kind of following a formula, to be honest with you, that shows are doing lately, where it's like, okay, this is passing of the torch. You know what I mean? Like, it's just cut and dry. Like, the old meets the new, and there's going to be a new crew, and these ragtag group of youngsters are going to come and just take the mantle of Star Trek going forward. That's the feeling that I got. And then I watched the second episode, and I was like, okay, that's gone now.
Okay.
I'm fully into this universe as its own universe right now.
Nice. Okay, cool. So I did read today online that apparently the first 3 episodes of this show are meant to be like an extended pilot, and that from episode 4 on, we're going to get like some more action and space battles and all that kind of stuff. So I have heard some people online kind of talking about they felt like the first 2 episodes have been a little on the slow side for them. They would have liked it to move a little faster.
Have those people ever watched The Next Generation?
I don't know if they've ever watched one unit of Star Trek ever, because if you've watched any Star Trek ever, you know that it can move a little slow
and
sometimes.
You can't go by the JJ universe.
No.
Like those kind of, yeah.
I mean, the only, in my opinion, the only place that has an argument, I didn't feel the pacing was slow at all. So I think it's just, a product of the now, generation of, I want everything fed into my eyeballs and my ears right now, all at once. But I honestly didn't think the pacing was slow. The only part where I think that has any merit is that, of course, we're talking about 10 episodes, not 26.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And I get a little anxious when every episode goes by, because obviously we've been anticipating this show for a long time. I get a little anxious as every episode goes by, and I didn't get exactly what I wanted yet. Like, I haven't seen 7 of 9 yet. You know what I mean? And like, as every episode goes by, I'm like, okay, only 8 left. And like, even hearing you say the first 3 are just a pilot, and then we get into the action, it's like, that makes me a little nervous, because that only gives me 7 episodes or 6 episodes of the actual like major content. So that's my only understanding of what they're talking about.
Yeah, and I didn't think about it, but Next Generation was kind of adventure of the week, whether it was action-y or not. It was like something different. And there were some things that went throughout, but there wasn't any big, huge arcs like all the time. Like, this one is an arc with lots of things that are happening, and it's going slower, and it's fewer episodes, so it's kind of like, what's happening?
No, believe me, I feel that anxiousness myself too, Stephen. Like, that whole idea of like, it's only 10 episodes. What's going to happen next? I get that. I have a feeling that I don't think season 1, and of course, like, this is very early to make a prediction like this, but like Like, I don't think season 1 is going to be like this whole complete wrap it all up by the end, because if it's kind of getting off to a slower start, I feel like season 1 could end on a cliffhanger a bit, or at least with an open-ended ending. We already know that season 2 has been greenlit, so and the showrunners, creators have said that they have a 3-season arc that they'd like to do to tell a complete story. So.
But that's such a dangerous game to play these days.
It is.
I mean,
it is.
Even though
You're not wrong.
They're starting to greenlight stuff like before we even see the first episode, but while they're filming it, you know, I mean, look at the nature of all these really, really well done shows happening, you know, just getting axed just so prematurely. And it used to just be like, you know, Firefly and, you know, these 5 or 6 shows that we always talk about, Freaks and Geeks, like 1-season shows that should have gone on for much longer. Sure. But now it's like, there's 5 or 6 a year where it's like, why did this end?
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, so it's a dangerous game to play. And I honestly believe that anybody that wants to put out a show these days better have a somewhat close-ended season in mind. You know what I mean? And I think the only exception is Mandalorian. I think that they did have a closed season ending in mind for the most part, and then they realized, wait a minute, we got something special here, so we got to leave it completely open. But everything else, I think it's a dangerous game to play. So I wouldn't be surprised to see if we get a lot of resolution at the end of this one.
Okay. I mean, it's absolutely possible, because I can't deny that what you're saying is true. I mean, there's plenty of shows that, you know, we see one episode and we go, oh, or we see one season and we say, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see more. And then it gets canceled. And, you know, then we're like, boo, you know, where's the rest of my story here? But I will say that I wouldn't be surprised, though, if maybe hedging our bets, season 1 could have some resolution, but some open-endedness, and then season 2 could be a little bit more closed, and maybe season 3, if it happens, would be like the final story, the final part of the story.
I mean, yeah, I definitely can't argue that.
We can hope.
Absolutely what I want. You know?
Yeah. But cool. So let's jump into episode 2 here. Episode 2 is entitled Maps and Legends. This one is directed once again by Hanelle Culpepper. She's also an executive producer on this show, which is pretty exciting. This episode was written mostly by Akiva Goldsman, but there's also credit given to Michael Chabon, Kirsten Bayer, and Alex Kurtzman as creators and writers. And of course, we have our cast. We've met a lot of them in the previous episode. Patrick Stewart, Allison as Picard, Allison Pill as Agnes Girani. Issa Briones is playing a dual role here of Daj and Soji. We get some new characters this episode. We're going to meet Michelle Hurd's character, Raffi Musiker. We're going to meet David Paymer playing Dr. Benayoun, and Tamlin Tamita playing Commodore O. And I don't know if you guys recognize Tamlin Tamita. She's been in a lot of stuff, but do you guys know what iconic role she played in a classic 80s movie?
I can't wait for you to tell me.
Uh-oh, dead air. She was in Karate Kid Part 2. She played Kumiko.
What?
Daniel's girlfriend that he met in Okinawa.
Wow.
And I love that movie so much.
Wow. What? I like these new trivia things that you've got going on.
Well, thank you.
Great.
I spent a lot of time on IMDb today.
You failed to mention the epic blockbuster The Day After Tomorrow.
Oh, she was in that. But I'm not gonna lie. As soon as I realized who she was, I didn't really care about anything else because I just love that movie so much.
Sure, a lot of us stop right on Karate Kid. I understand.
Yeah, there you go. Also this episode we do meet Peyton List as Lieutenant Narissa Rizzo and Anne Magnuson as Admiral Kirsten Clancy. So here's the synopsis. Picard begins investigating the mystery of Daj as well as what her very existence means to the Federation. Without Starfleet's support, Picard is left leaning on others for help, including Dr. Agnes Girardi and an estranged former colleague Raffi Musiker. Meanwhile, hidden enemies are also interested in where Picard's search for the truth about Dahj will lead. So off air, we were kind of talking a little bit. This is a exposition-heavy episode. A lot of explaining, a lot of backstory, a lot of introducing of new stuff. So before we get into the breakdown, I'd love to hear from you both. Overall, what did you think of this episode? Did you think it was a good episode? Did you like the pacing and the timing and all that? Let me start with you, Brooke. What did you think of this episode?
Let me pull up the text message I sent you.
Yes, please do, because it was a very cryptic text message.
Those cheeky for saying cheeky in this episode when we have been. It says offspring because autocorrect. When we have been censoring ourselves, and then you said you hadn't watched it yet, and then I said there's another instance of only halfway through. You said that's hilarious, and I said okay, so that was an episode. And then I leave my house to go back to work, and you reply, I'm not sure if you liked it or not. So I get to work, and I know you're probably like, what is going on with this episode? Because you're waiting for me to answer. And I said I did, but it was a lot. And then explain that I was driving, and I didn't really want to spoil much of anything besides the swearing.
Yes.
But, yeah, like, it had a whole lot to take in, and then when I watched it again, there were things that I noticed that I was like, this about this character, or this about that character, or this, whatever, and then I realized that the answers were in the show. It's just there was so much my brain couldn't take it all in, because even if there's not a lot of like action, there's a lot of exposition, but it's not like just somebody sitting there talking and telling you like there's a lot of character building and different things going on, and it just took me a while to process it.
Mm-hmm. I have to say I did I watched the episode twice, and I enjoyed it a lot more on my second viewing. I felt like I needed to just kind of watch it twice to get everything that was expositioned in this episode. Steven, how about you? What did you think of the episode overall?
I mean, I really liked it. Like I had said earlier, that the first episode, which I liked, it kind of left me, in my own headspace about the formula and about what they were trying to do with this show and what the point of the show was, without actually like getting into the story. The second episode really got me there. And everybody who talks about exposition like it's a bad thing, and I really don't mind it. I mean, how long has it been in time, and canon time since we've seen any new story, right? It's Nemesis, right, for this world. If you don't count the Kelvin universe, Nemesis is the last time we saw story. So there's, 20 years of catch-up that we have to do here? So if people want to tell me what happened in the last 20 years over 2 to 3 episodes, I'm okay with that. I need the context. Like, the first episode, I wouldn't say I was lost, but I kind of I turned my brain off and just try to like enjoy the story. It took me like a minute to realize that the two people that were with him at Chateau Picard were Romulan. I mean, that's how, my mind was just turned off to that whole world. But the second episode really just brought everything back into perspective. Okay, like, the Romulans, the last time we see Romulans was in Nemesis, and it sounded like there was some kind of hope for the future, once they got rid of this common threat, and that maybe the Romulans and the Federation were going to start to come together and work together. And then I need to know how that went. And I think that these first 2 episodes absolutely have set the stage for me. So I think there was a lot of information. Just like you said, I have not watched it twice, which I absolutely should have. But I think that there is a lot of information in this episode.